All right, what's up, everyone? Can you hear me? What's up, Zombie Slinger? All right, what's up, everyone? Can you hear me? What's up, Zombie Slinger? Mackenzie. What's up, Mackenzie? All right, so looks like the market is putting in a new low right here. All right, so looks like the market is putting in a new low right here. All right, so for anyone, yep. So those are the Nemo alerts that go out. Let's bring up SPY. All right, so for anyone, yep. So those are the Nemo alerts that go out. Let's bring up SPY. All right, so we have side-by-side SPY and UVXY. I don't know if you guys saw, we went long UVXY yesterday at about 11.75. Actually, it was 11.65. So these ran 300%. We got $12 calls. So if we're looking at the market right now, so we can see the DSCI page. So this is the Dow Jones, which kind of leads the market. So you can see this break below the hourly trigger. All three triggers, the 1 minute trigger and the 5 minute trigger, sold below as well. And we just had some pretty relentless selling on the Dow Jones. Dow is the leader, so we had SPY selling pretty hard, QQQ selling pretty hard. And if you're short in the market right now, you can use the 5 minute trigger as your stop loss. So you can see how price isn't even making any attempt to attack the 5 minute trigger. We have the IWT and the IWM as well. So, 5 minute trigger is showing us the algos just leading down price. Mackenzie, is there still an echo? All right, just let me know in the chat if there's an echo. So yeah, nothing about this looks bullish at all for the market. This is starting to look a little nasty. Thanks, Jeff. So you can see here how SPY has some divergences. So you see how here was the low with the highest velocity print. Let me bring this up a little bigger. All right, let's bring up SPY here. Okay, yeah, this is a lot more clear. So, two things happen when you have three divergences in the 5 minute. So if you guys don't know what that divergence is yet, over here, price makes a low of 364.94. And this is where we get our most extreme velocity reading to the downside. 0.43 negative 5 minute velocity. I'll remove the 1 minute to make it more clear. And then price makes its first new low right here, 363.15. But you see how the velocity is 0.18. So the velocity actually got improved from here to here. So when we have three new lows with diverging velocity, that's when the market turns. So here's the most extreme print. Here's your first new low. Right now the market's putting in a second low. And then when we have one more new low without a negative print that looks like this, that's when the market's going to turn. If GME, so if GME can break above the 5 minute trigger right now, we might be able to go on a little bit of a run. Let's check what price is right now. Okay, yeah, so GME moving nicely against the market. So, I want to show you guys the difference between GME and AMC right here because it's a pretty significant difference. So you see over here how, let's remove everything else. So price comes down, right? Velocity is negative 0.02, and then velocity is negative 0.0, velocity is negative 0.08, so it's getting worse and worse, right? Over here, when price makes this new low, you can see divergence on the hourly because over here, the hourly print was negative 8.1, and over here it was negative 0.80. So from the fact the velocity got better on this new low, that tells us buyers were here. And so at 20 on this new low, we actually, well, I wrote in the Discord that we're probably going to put in a bottom, and we were able to confirm this by the 5-minute velocity. So here's your most extreme print at 25.10. We make a new low, 24.94, and you can see the obvious divergence here. We make another new low, velocity is negative 0.4, so 2 significant divergences combined with hourly divergence. That tells us buyers are here. And because buyers are here, they're about to push up price, and that's exactly what happened. You can see price now moving up to attack the 5-minute trigger. Okay, so 5-minute trigger at 24.88. Let's see, price just popped its head above. All right, so GME is moving really well right now in a market that's down 2.8%, 2 sigma. So pretty positive sign here. So let's see. So what you want to see next for GME is you want to see the 1-minute trigger now cross above the 5-minute trigger. So you can see the 1-minute trigger is at 24.82, the 5-minute trigger is at 24.88. I'll remove price, you can see this more clearly. And once you get across over here, so price needs to remain above 24.88 for about 8 more minutes, and each minute the 1-minute trigger will move up 1 or 2 cents. And then when you get this cross, that means price wants to attack the hourly trigger at 25.88. So if GME can remain above 24.90 for another 8 minutes, what we're going to get is a 1-minute trigger, 5-minute trigger cross, and then both of these triggers together will lead price up to 25.88. So another thing with the Nimoy, if you're new to this, when you get trigger crosses, so here, so you see here how the 1-minute trigger crossed below the 5-minute trigger, and price sold from about 26.54 all the way to 24.88. So that's bearish. But when we get a 1-minute trigger crossing above the 5-minute trigger, that's going to be bullish. And all right, so we just got another alert, Dow Jones extreme bearish. So let's look over at the Dow Jones. Okay, so what this means is that this velocity print that we just got here on the 1 minute is bearish. So you see how while price is moving down, velocity is coming down with it. So there's no divergences in this move. So that alert is telling us that the market's going to keep selling right now. So let's bring up SPY. Well, that's the Dow, but SPY should follow shortly after. All right, so GME moving really well here. Let's bring it up right here. 24.99. So again, if we can stay above 24.90 for about another 7 minutes, then price is going to attack the hourly trigger at 25.88. Now, because there is negative hourly velocity, we do expect a rejection here at 25.88, but if price can pin around here for about an hour or two while this negative velocity flips to positive, that's when we could break above and start moving on up. So this is really impressive to see. Let's look at the daily for a second to compare with SPY. All right, so this is some really nice bottom wicks here. So pay attention to all this buying that happened here, and we were able to see this happening in the hourly velocity. It was telling us there was a lot of buying. SPY doesn't have the same look to it. It looks like GME is getting bought up at these levels. So I think any technical analysis trader that's watching this, GME is in an uptrend. There's no doubt about it. While the market, from the same period, so that would be, Wednesday, October 7th, the market is in a strong downtrend, right? But GME is somehow managing to remain in an uptrend. So this is pretty impressive to see. So let's see how this unfolds here. So again, this is a Friday. We know there's a lot of pinning, options expiration, but if we were watching this on a Monday or a Tuesday, for example, then I'll show you guys what we would expect here and when we would hop in, let's say, weekly calls or further dated calls. So we're gonna wait for this 1 minute trigger to cross above the 5. So it's getting closer right now. All right, so 24.88, 24.86. So as long as GME remains above 24.90 for another 2-3 minutes, we're gonna get a trigger cross. And once these trigger crosses, I mean, you can see what happened here, right? On the move down. The 1 minute trigger crosses down, and then the 1 and the 5 minute trigger lead price down. So I remove everything else. All right, you see how they're leading price downward? So once they cross to the upside, we expect them to lead price upward. So you don't immediately enter on this break above the 5 minute trigger. I mean, it's meaningful, but it doesn't tell us everything yet. But you can enter when the 1 minute trigger crosses above the 5. Now, this is Friday, all right? So don't expect anything crazy to come out of the hole, but this is a really positive sign. So, price came to attack this downtrend this morning, and the buyers are continuously moving up their buys. So they were buying here, and then they were buying here, and then they were buying here, and then they were buying here. And each tap of this trend line, I'll go to the hourly view. I just got another alert, it looks like. Yeah, so Nimoy's telling us that the Dow still wants to sell, so keep that in mind. All right, I mean, you can see the reactions off this trend line. So we have a pretty strong advance here. We come back down, tap it again, another strong advance. Come back down, tap it again, another strong advance. So, very possible we're gonna be in for the same reaction. So let's watch this develop live. So let's see if we got the trigger cross yet. All right, so they're just about equal right now, 24.88, 24.88. And what we're looking for is them to cross, and then the 1 minute trigger and the 5 minute trigger are gonna lead price up into the hourly trigger. So there you go, GME 25.08. So that's gonna solidify the cross. Yeah, Jeff, ask questions at any time. I'll be glad to answer. All right, I think you guys couldn't see the end of the screen, so I'll just change that for you. So right here, still equal. So as soon as we get a trigger cross here, that basically tells us that the 1 minute trigger and the 5 minute trigger want to lead price up into 25.88. So we're gonna keep a close eye on that. Yeah. Jeff, the hole in Nimoy, did you guys basically reverse engineer the algos? That's exactly what they did. So there are algos that run the market. I think that's pretty obvious to anybody watching over the past couple of years. And Nimoy simply reverse engineers them. So if price is moving bearishly, all right, so let me give you guys a good example. If price is moving bearishly, then velocity needs to be moving bearishly as well. But if price is moving bearishly and velocity is not moving bearishly, then the algos, that's not how they sell. So what is a sell program? A sell program that turns on in the market, right, drives price down. If the sell program is strong enough to continue driving price down, then you're gonna see velocity come down with it. That's the reverse engineer part. If you see the price being driven down, but velocity is not coming down with it, that tells you the sell program that was turned on to sell price down is running out of steam and is about to capitulate. And so when you get 3 divergences, that means that the sell program just capitulated. Now sometimes, if you see right here, there was only 2 divergences. One new low, a second new low, and velocity was telling us that the sell programs are capitulating, and then price started to move on back up. But actually, let's check the 1 minute. Yeah, 1 minute, same thing. So, okay, so on the 1 minute, there's actually 3 divergences. So here was your most extreme print. Price was at 25.48. Then we make your first new low. This is a divergence. Your second new low. This is a divergence, and your third new low. Now these are divergences because these velocity prints on these new lows, none of them came to zero, negative 0.04. So as long as none of them come to 0.43, it's telling you the sell program is running out of steam. Now when does the sell program turn on? When you get this cross. This cross tells you, okay, sell program is turning on right now, and it's going to push price down. And you know the sell program is finishing when you see your magic number 3 divergences. Sometimes if you have 3 on the 1 minute, you won't need 3 on the 5 minute. You'll be all right with just 2. But over here, not only did we have 1 minute divergence, but we also had 5 minute divergence, and we also had hourly divergence. Right here, it's slight. It's very slight hourly divergence, negative 0.0812 and negative 0.08. But any divergence is divergence, you know. If it was like way up, if this was like a negative 0.6, then price probably would have snapped back a lot harder to the hourly trigger. But when you have 3 divergences at once, it tells you, in essence, that the sell programs are capitulating. Let's take a look at SPY. All right, so SPY keeps selling. You guys saw the bearish and Nemo alerts before, right? So at 240, we got a bearish alert. It's 245 right now, and SPY started to sell. Okay, so you guys see that? So Nemo just told us that the sell programs are in full force. A bearish alert just means that we got a strong 1 minute velocity print, which is this, you know, it's leading down. There's no divergences, and the sell program is going to keep selling. There it goes again. So on the 5 minute, okay, Jeff, I'll get to that in a second. On the 5 minute, so Nemo just told us that the 5 minute velocity just printed another extreme bar right here. So Nemo is telling us that the sell programs are still running fine, and there's no buyers fighting right now, and they're not running out of steam. So let's take a look. So Jeff asked, the sell program algo runs out of steam. What is deciding what the next phase for the stock is going to be? So as the sell program sells, you know, buyers are coming in. But the sell program doesn't allow those buyers, right? Because for every sell, there's a buyer. So the sell program is basically forcing the stock down, but think of it as like pushing a beach ball underwater. As soon as it capitulates, the beach ball just rises back up to the top. So no one's necessarily pushing the price back up. They're just releasing the gas on the selling, which allows price to float back up to where it should have been without the sell program. And what you do is, whatever level the divergence is on, if the divergence is on the 5 minute, if the divergence is on the 1 minute, if the divergence is on the hourly, that means that price is going to go back to that trigger. So let's say for GME, right here, we had 1 minute divergence. And that tells us that price wants to attack the 1 minute trigger. So look for your magic number 3. You have 1 new low, 2 new low, 3 new lows, and that tells you price wants to attack the 1 minute trigger, which it does. Now for 5 minute velocity, all right, we have 1 new low, 2 new lows. That tells you price. All right, how about now? What about now? Do you guys hear me? Okay, good sound. Anthony, yeah, the link is safe. It just brings you to Nimoy. Not a virus or anything like that. Okay, so I want to show you guys a great example, all right? So you want to know what pinning looks like? Check this out. So we're going to take a look at AMC from yesterday. Oh, there's a high pitch. Okay, I know what that is. All right, so I'm just going to unplug my mic. Give me a second. Bear with me. All right, can you guys hear me now? Just let me know if you guys can hear me. Okay, great. Sorry about that. Thanks for sticking with me. All right, so I'm gonna show you guys what real pinning looks like in real time, okay? So look at this action on the 1 minute trigger and the 5 minute trigger. You see how closely they acted together? So this is from 10:30 a.m. yesterday for AMC all the way until 1:30 almost. The 1 minute trigger and the 5 minute trigger were within 1 cent of each other, all right, for over 2 hours. So when they do this, they crush velocity, they crush IV, and then when price moves in either direction out of the pin, like the fate is decided and it's going to get crushed. And so you're basically looking for which way is the 1 minute trigger going to cross. If it's going to cross up, price is going to explode to the upside. If it's going to cross down, price is going to explode to the downside. So demo, the 1 minute cross the 5 minute on GME. How long do you monitor that before making a play? What other indicators do you look for? So I'll get to that in a second. I just want to finish this up. So let's say you shorted AMC right after you got this trigger cross, and your stop loss is above the 5 minute trigger. So you could have been short from 737 and been short this entire time and not one reason to get out of this trade because price never popped its head above the 5 minute trigger. Okay, and if we look for divergences to exit the trade, so here's your most extreme print at 692, negative 0.02, and then price makes a new low right here. More bearish readings on the Dow. Okay, so this is the first new low, 673, and you can see the divergence in the velocity. So this tells you the sell program is starting to run out of steam. This is your second new low. It's telling you, okay, one more new low, and that's when we want to buy. so 664, and then we put in this third low, 641, and if you just look at velocity, you can see here's the most extreme print, 1 divergence, 2 divergence, 3 divergences, and that means price wants to attack the 5-minute trigger, and that is exactly what happened. Okay, so this is also something important to note. You always want to look for how is price attacking the 5-minute trigger. So if price goes from here, 642, and straight up attacks the 5-minute trigger, then that's a more bullish sign. But price needs to meet the 5-minute trigger, but that doesn't mean that price needs to go up to attack the 5-minute trigger, because price could drift sideways while the 5-minute trigger comes down. If that happens, when price finally makes contact on the 5-minute trigger, you expect it to get whacked. That's how this works. Okay, so for GME, we're still, this is what it is. They started the pin fest, so they're gonna keep the 1-minute trigger right on the 5-minute trigger. And so Demo, to answer your question, as soon as the 1-minute trigger lifts off the 5-minute trigger significantly, like a couple of cents, that's when you could go long. That's when the pin is lost. So as long as these guys are together, as long as the 1 and the 5-minute trigger are intertwined like this within 1 cent from each other, that means that they're not running a sell program, they're not running a buy program, they're just pinning the shit out of it. They want all options to expire worthless, right? This is very typical to see on a Friday. Now, once you see the 1-minute trigger lift up, that means they lost the pin and price is about to explode to the downside. If you see the 1-minute trigger release down, which we saw on AMC yesterday right here, that means that they successfully did what they needed to do, and now they're about to take the stock down. So let's look at the Disky page for a second. All right, so there's still nothing telling me that the selling is over. So if I wanted to look for, let's say, a bottom, so I would look for, some of these indexes to start poking their head above the 1-minute trigger. But you could see the DIA is still below the 1-minute trigger, the IYT is still below the 1-minute trigger, SPY is still below the 1-minute trigger, QQQ still below, IWM still below, IBB still below. So there's just nothing bullish about this at all whatsoever. So SPY 362.81. And I mean, you guys can see, like, if I was short SPY, let's bring up SPY for a second. So yeah, this is just a nasty chart. So you could go short on the break of the hourly trigger at 373, and there's never a reason to exit this trade yet. There's still not one reason to exit this trade. Because price never even poked its head above the 5-minute trigger. So let's take a look at some questions. So Jeff says, first of all, Carrick, you asked if there's a delay. Yeah, people were telling me this, that the free version doesn't load by itself. I'll have to look into that. I thought it did, but yeah, that could be. The 3-hour chart, so the way you do that is you just go to stocks and you click on this button and you click 3-hour chart. Now, if it's on mobile, don't expect it to work. Mobile app is coming soon. For now, mobile does not work well. 3-minute delay on the free version. Yeah, it's a 2-minute delay on the Pro as well. The reason is because the API is from IEX, and they have a 2-minute delay, but we're switching over to Polygon, which is going to be instant. So we're just waiting on that. Should be within a couple of weeks. Now, Nimoy is a very new program, so just keep that in mind. There's a lot of changes coming to the UI and the UX. It's been in beta mode for a long time now. So let's see what else. Do you use Nimoy in conjunction with RSI or other indicators or TradingView? So I like to use Fibs. That's about all I'll use. For RSI, for MACD, and everything, like it's all, you don't need it when you use a Nimoy, because a Nimoy will tell you everything you need to know. Oversold, overbought, you just look for divergences. MACD, any stochastic indicator, all this stuff, like it's all there in a Nimoy. You don't need it. So here, you guys can see what's going on right now for GME. So this is your classic Friday pin fest. So you see how the 1 minute trigger is just within 1 cent of the 5 minute trigger? That means that this is exactly where they want to keep it. So if you see this pin go on, you can literally just sell puts and calls $1 in either direction. And then as soon as the pin breaks, you know, you just get out. But you could eat up theta, it'll crush IV. You'll watch right now. Pull up any GME contract and watch them crush IV with this pin. That's exactly what this is doing. Any call holders right now that are holding till the end of the day, they're crushing their IV right now by keeping price completely still. And this is what they're going to do most likely for the rest of the day. That's just how this works. But if let's say this was a Tuesday and we see the 1 minute trigger start crossing above the 5 and starts moving, you know, over by 3 cents. So let's say the 1 minute trigger right now is $24.95. At that point, they lost the pin, and that tells us that price is going to go to the hourly trigger at $25.88. All right. So, anybody have any other questions? Right now, it doesn't look like. Thank you, Demo. I appreciate that. Reach out to me on Twitter if, let's say, you want to join the Discord or something like that. And if you want like access to all the stocks, but you don't want to pay the fee because it's a pretty large, it's a lot of money for 1 month for the subscription, you can reach out to me. I do have a 45% off coupon that's permanent and it works forever. So, all right, so you guys want to look at the Discord for a second? I'll show it to you. So first of all, we have an Amino Bot. So watch this. So let's say I don't have my computer or anything. So I could just go SPY. Check this out. Usually takes a bit faster, but there you go. So I just got SPY, and if I want to see it without the hourly velo, oh yeah, and you also get, so SPY, the bot is short, tells you where the 1 minute trigger, 5 minute trigger, and the hourly trigger are. Then I could do for no velo. Also, check this out. There's a bot that runs on all the stocks. So right now the GameStop bot is flat because the 1 minute trigger crossed above the 5 minute trigger. But if you take a look at SPY real quick, or here, how about this? Look at the diskies, all right? So look how useful this is. You see how on the top it tells you that there are 0 indexes that are short, that are long, sorry. The 6 major indexes are short and there are 0 flat. What this means is that the bot goes short when price is below the hourly trigger and the 5 minute trigger is below the hourly and the 1 minute trigger is below the 5. When the 1 minute trigger crosses above the 5, that's when the bot goes flat. Okay, so let's take a look at this. All right, so here's the bot. So this is simply options. So we have like voice chat where we give like live streams all the time. And then we have like the main trading room. This is like where all the action goes down, where everyone's talking over the day. Gavin is like breaking down SPY with fibs. Then members plays, like these are plays that people take for themselves. Profits is where, you know, people post profits from the plays. And then we have Ortex, which is like all the Ortex data for GME. This is the $100 challenge that we're working on right now. And then we have Gavin's alerts, my alerts, YSL, and Vinny's alerts, and Vikings alerts, so 5 different analysis. So I hit a big one. I got AMC calls on 10/14 for 0.26, and we sold those at 6.9, which was basically the top. So trim now, and then we took BBBY weeklies for 50%, and then you know we have some Vinny alerts here. These are like different Nimoy setups, analyst performance. So this past week actually, Took IMVT for 150%, AMC for 200%, GME for 100%, Hood for 30%, but went 200, sold early. Netflix for 175 and UVXY for 200%. So solid week. Casino Royale is where we just post these lottos. So I want to show you guys something. This is actually a really cool aspect of an Nimoy. So I wrote IMVT is in an air pocket and can attack 1140. I actually meant to say 1070, but I missed the price. I'll show you in a minute what I'm talking about. Price currently is 664. I'm taking October 7.5 calls for 40 bucks. All right. So price was 660. Let me teach you guys what an Nimoy air pocket is. So go to stocks tab and we're going to type in IMVT. This is where we find like the crazy runners in a Nimoy. All right. So when price breaks above the weekly trigger and there's a gap to the monthly trigger, so we look here, the monthly trigger is right now 18% above price. But when price was down here like 6, it was like 100%. So when price breaks above the weekly trigger, you always have a very good chance that price is just going to make a really fast market attack of the monthly trigger. It's crazy. I've seen it happen in so many stocks. I'm going to show you guys something absolutely insane in UVXY in a minute. So we went long right here, 660, price was in the air pocket, and within 2 days, price hit 10. So those calls went like 500% actually. Somebody actually in our group put in $100. This is IMVT. All right, this is a true story. Somebody put $100 into this call out, opened his account 2 days later, and it was at $1,500 from this play. So he entered at 6, and he sold. The price target was, I said 1140, but I don't know. I must have mixed up. Oh, I know what it is. I mixed it up with Hood. Show you that in a second too. Hood also had an air pocket that filled. But whatever, he got out near the monthly trigger, turned $100 into like 1,500. So Demo says, how do you find the separation? So with this tab right here, actually, you could also, let's say, hit any stock and you could see the air pockets right here. So Microsoft is below all the triggers. So it says you need to move up 3.62% to hit the hourly trigger. You need to move up here. So you know what? Let me give you guys a good example. We played this Hood. We actually, killed this play. So here's another example of the air pocket. So price moved above the daily trigger right here. Okay, and the daily trigger. So I was showing you guys how when the 1 minute trigger crosses above the 5, they're going to bring price up. So when the daily trigger crosses when the hourly trigger, which is the purple, crosses the daily trigger, so it's a macro buy. So the 1 minute trigger, 5 minute trigger cross is like a teeny little scalp, but this is like a macro buy. You always want to buy when the daily trigger crosses when the hourly trigger crosses the daily. So you see, when you get these crosses, price wants to attack the next trigger, and you can see that price did exactly that. So when this cross happened at about 990, I thought price was going to attack 1140, and got really close. So I'll show you where I gave that alert. So yeah, so this was for Hood. This is when Hood crossed the hourly trigger, and then I said, in this situation, we may get attack of the weekly trigger at 1140. That's what makes this worth playing. Can you send one of the Hood 6-month chart? So yeah, and then we played this here. We took calls, and I said, let's see if we can melt straight to 1040. This was, what date was this? All right, this was October 3rd. So you go back and we look at the chart. This is slowing down a bit. All right, so 10.3, that was right here. All right, so you guys see October 3rd, price was at about 10.05, and I thought we could make a fast market attack to 11.40 because we got the hourly trigger crossing the daily trigger. And that's really exactly what happened. price went straight towards the weekly trigger. It didn't get there. I think the high was 11.19. Let's double check. Hood. Yeah. All right. So it got to 11.19, you know, and we went long at 9.92. And it's a clean Anemo setup. So what I want to explain about this is it's a really good risk to reward, because you go long on the hourly trigger crossing the daily trigger, and you can just stop out if price breaks below the hourly trigger. But you could see on this entire move up, right? On this entire move up, price basically held, so we went long 9.90, all right? That was right here. On this entire move up, price held the hourly trigger, so there was never a reason to sell, all right? You see how cool that is? So you go long 9.96, and throughout this entire period, you never needed to get out, and then, you know, your target was 11.40, you start trimming at 11.17. So that's how we take trades with Anemo. The difference between the free version and the basic. So the basic is, I don't recommend buying for anybody, because you don't have access to day trader. So I would recommend the plus or the pro. The plus, you can view any stock. It's basically what you see here, what I'm doing right now. You can DM me on Twitter and I'll give you a 45% off coupon. So that's plus. Jeff asked if the Discord is free. The Discord is not free, but if you have a free Anemo account, then you can get in with 25% off. So yeah, I would say to message me on Twitter for that code as well. And here you could see GME at 24.91, right? And we spoke about this whole stream. Once we saw that pinning algo go on, said they're just going to keep price right there the entire time. Because once the pinning algo turns on, especially at 3 p.m. on a Friday, right? So you get this pin turned on, right? And they're just going to keep price here the entire day. So, you know, there's nothing here that tells me that the stock is ready to run to the hourly trigger yet. Now, this was really close, so I might have gotten faked out here. So if I was, let's say, taking this trade, so I see, okay, maybe GME is breaking the pin, the 1 minute trigger is starting to go above the 5 minute trigger, which is bullish, then I would take the trade, but I would have a stop loss right under the 5 minute trigger, which is 24.92. So let's say, now I know it's a Friday and I know it's the last hour of trading and I know they want to pin it, so I would never really take this trade unless there's a large amount of volume. But let's say I did go long here, it's such a teeny risk reward ratio, because the risk is that I stop out right below 24.92 and I go long at 24.93, right? So teeny risk. The reward is that if it's a successful trigger cross, price is going to attack 25.88. So think about the risk to reward. That's what Anemo gives you. Anemo gives you fantastic risk reward ratios. So I showed you guys the AMC long that we took, and now I'm going to show you why we took it. And you'll see how incredible the risk to reward ratio plays out. Okay, I typed in long by mistake. Whoops, I'm typing AMC. So here, this should be a little enlightening to you guys. So I'm going to go on the 2-week chart because the play was a couple of days ago. I'll remove all the velocities so that it's easier to understand this play. And then I'm going to show you exactly the thought process of when we went long and when we sold. Okay, here we go. This is the play. Price breaks above the hourly trigger. All right, I'm long right here at 7.10. On the break above, the hourly trigger is 7.10. As soon as price breaks above, I'm long calls, okay? Should have taken weeklies, but I took next week calls. I wasn't really thinking straight. Weeklies would have went 500%. We went 250%. Still okay. Now, once we break above the hourly trigger, my stop loss is right under the hourly trigger. All right, so let's say 7.05. Okay, so over here, price bounces off the hourly trigger at 7.10. And then over here, price bounces off the hourly trigger again at 7.10. And then price launches. All right. So, you know, you could have already went long. I don't know if you guys can see this. You see the 1 minute trigger. All right, Demo. DM me on Twitter if you want to continue talking about this. So we get the bullish trigger cross right here. Okay, price was 681. So technically you can go long right there. But if you don't want to, if you want to be a little more safe, you can wait till price breaks above the hourly trigger. You can go long right here, and then you can have your stop losses in one of two places. Okay, you could have your stop loss under the 1 minute trigger, which you would have got stopped out right here at 750, which is still a phenomenal trade, 710 to 750. And you also could have set your stop loss under the 5 minute trigger, and you would have got stopped out right here at 776. Okay, but if you wanted to sell the top, here's how you would have done that. So take a look at 1 minute velocity. All right, let's take a look at 5 minute velocity. Let's zoom in on this area right here. Okay, so this is actually called a capitulation move. So this wasn't as obvious, but all right, Hebe. GG's, I'll see you soon. Again, text me on, you could DM me on Twitter if you want to continue talking about this. But right here, when you see a really sharp divergence like this, it means that the whatever buy program was on, and if you guys are watching this move, it was clear short covering, no doubt about it. It was forced buying. You could look at the angle of the 1 and the 5 minute trigger to know that. But you see how price makes a high at 808 and the velocity is 0.02. Then price makes another high at 811 and the velocity is almost 50% less. That means that the buy program that was running for this move is done. All right, the buy program that was pushing price up like this is done. So you see how it goes slow, 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 and then ramps up. That's usually the end of the move. That's the tell. So you get, consistent buying, fake out, consistent buying, consistent buying. As soon as it starts to ramp, all right, you get your first high, and then when it makes another push up, and it almost always will, that's going to be the top. And it was obvious in the 1 and the 5 minute divergence. All right, because price came up to 808, velocity was 0.022, and price came up to 811, and velocity was 50% less. And that told us the move is done. All right, I'm just about ready to wrap it up. Unless any of you guys have any other questions, you can see GME still suffering from the pin. So yeah. All right, thanks for joining, Jeff. Appreciate you too. Anybody else? Otherwise, I think I'm going to close it right here. Thanks, Sean. Appreciate you, man. Feel free to reach out on Twitter with any other questions. If you want to join the Discord, feel free to reach out. Thank you, JT. Awesome, Donjo. You learned something today, you guys? Hope you did. Hope you take advantage of the free version of Animoy. Again, if you ever want to sign up, don't pay for the full price. Hit me up in Twitter. I'll give you the 45% off code and walk you through exactly how to take, killer trades. Thank you, Wah Swan. I really appreciate that, man. Thank you, Xavier. Appreciate you guys a lot. I just love to teach. Animoy is a fantastic tool. It's here. Let me try to explain this really, really simple. Technical analysis. You want to get good at technical analysis. It's gonna take you a couple of years, man. Like, I can guarantee you that. It's gonna take you a couple of years. Animoy, 1 month, you're good to go. That's the difference. 1 month and you're good to go. You're gonna be taking winning trades 90% of the time. And you're going to have your stop losses within a 5% risk margin with 100% upside reward possibility. So your trade potentials are going to go from 50% up, 50% down to this is a really great Animoy setup. I'm going to go long with a stop loss 5 cents below my entry. So let's say you buy a contract for $100. You could literally set a stop loss at 0.95. And then the upside potential, you could sell that contract for $300. So that's the kind of risk-reward ratio that Animoy gives you. So, I love teaching this stuff. I think if you're trying to trade this market, I feel like you're kind of blind without Animoy. And I think Animoy can help any trader become way better than they ever were. So, just like to teach. All right, thanks for joining, Carrick. I appreciate you, Mackenzie. You're the best. Okay, Xavier wants to know how this works with crypto. Pretty fantastic, actually. I trade crypto on like 100x leverage when I'm not trading stocks. But here, I mean, look, you can just look at this right now. You know, you get a 3 trigger cluster break to the downside. So I actually didn't speak about 3 trigger clusters. The 3 trigger clusters are when when all 3 triggers cluster together. Okay, and this always happens before a humongous move. Hey Laura, thanks for joining. I hope you learned. I know you're getting better with the Nimoy. It's really awesome to see your progress. But so you guys see how these 3 triggers, the hourly, the 1 minute trigger, and the 5 minute trigger, are really clustered together. So this means that when price breaks one way or the other, it's going to be a really strong, powerful move. And so if what you're waiting for is the 1 minute trigger to cross down, and then you can go short. So I mean, if you're playing this on 100x leverage, this is disgusting profit. So you go short on this leg down, and you know it was a 3 trigger cluster. So you know you're not really looking to exit your position right away. Over here, when price comes up to attack the 5 minute trigger, you can short again because the hourly velocity is nasty to the downside. And so when you have really bad hourly velocity, you expect the 5 minute trigger to provide resistance. You can go short here again. You can add shorts here again. And then you could sell on this break above. So you can literally go short at 20K and you can cover your short at 19.45. That's a pretty monster move. So yeah, it works really well for crypto too. But I only trade crypto on 100x leverage. Just a degen like that. What's the ticker symbol for Credit Suisse? Keurig. CS. Okay, so this is another thing I should probably explain. When the monthly trigger is on top and the weekly trigger is below that, that's very, very bearish. And the daily trigger below that. It's a bearish or trigger orientation. It's the same as this, really. It's very similar to this. So look at the Disky page for a second. Oh, I didn't show you guys the coolest part. The coolest part is the meme page. Because the meme basket, you know, all runs together. And so right now 0 memes are long. So there's no reason to be taking calls in any memes. 13 are short, 8 are flat. So, you know, the meme page is extremely helpful for identifying breakouts. Like for example, if these 8 that are flat would start, if this is a Tuesday, all right, and these 8 that are flat start flipping long, and these 13 that are short start flipping flat, I know the meme momentum's coming into the market, and I know to start getting long on breaks above the hourly trigger. If you look at the Disky, all right, so again, all indexes are still short, but you see how the hourly trigger is on top, the 5 minute trigger is below that, and the 1 minute trigger is below that, and price keeps selling. So it's the same thing on the bigger time frames. For Credit Suisse, when the monthly trigger is on top, the weekly trigger is on bottom, the daily trigger is on bottom, you can go short and not look at the stock for another 6 months, and you'll make profit. Because it just shows that the larger time frame sell programs are going to keep beating down the stock for the foreseeable future. Now over here, price broke above the daily trigger, so now there is potential for an air pocket fill to 610. However, let's look at the weekly velocity. Yeah, the weekly velocity is nasty to the downside, so there's nothing telling me that price wants to attack the weekly trigger. If the weekly velocity was like over here, you know, negative 0.8 maybe, but it's negative 1.6, so it's not going to be able to attack the weekly trigger. So this is still really bearish. It's going to come back up a bit, then it's going to get whacked back down. That's what the weekly velocity tells you. Look at the monthly velocity, nasty. All right, so you see how the monthly velocity just keeps consecutively getting worse as these 6 months go on. It's basically telling you the stock has no chance of turning bullish for the foreseeable future, at least a year. If you ask me, I'll take a look at the day trader chart. All right, and you guys can see we're still getting bearish signs on SPY, and there it goes. You know, SPY keeps selling. So, like I was trying to tell you guys, those alerts are really helpful. We got our first alert when we started stream at 363.60 or something, right about here. We could have went short back then and, you know, crushed this move, but I'm busy here on stream. Would have definitely, that's something that I would have alerted in the group. on the Discord. I think I have UVXY calls. Do I? No, I closed out of these. Shame, but it is what it is. Okay, so let's go back to Credit Suisse. So let's take a look at the day trader chart. Okay, so currently this is a bullish chart. Not gonna lie. That you see how the hourly velocity keeps stepping up and getting stronger and stronger and stronger. So this is bullish. There's nothing really bearish about this right now. I'd expect the stock to continue going up for now, but so we're going to get our new print in 5 minutes, and the hourly velocity is going to start turning down. Once the hourly velocity starts turning down, that's when the move is pretty much over. So in 5 minutes, we're going to get our new hourly print. Unless price makes a new high, so above 489, the hourly velo is going to start coming down, and that's when this move up will end. But you guys see this? So this is so important. You get the hourly velo print before the start of the hour. So right over here, when price was at 447, I saw this hourly velo print of 0.01 if I was watching this live. And it's a huge jump. So I'm expecting price to continue moving bullishly. Over here, when price is at 455, that's when I get this hourly print. And it's a pretty big jump. So I'm expecting the stock to continue moving bullishly. And then over here, when price is 466, that's when I get this print. And I see that it's greater. So for this whole next hour, I expect price to keep moving bullishly. That's why it's called the Nimue predictive technology, because you get the hourly prints before the hour starts, and it's already telling you how strong the buy programs are. And this is telling you that the buy program is getting stronger and stronger and stronger with each consecutive hour, and so you're basically in this trade stress-free. Okay, so GME actually might be breaking the pin here. Let's take a look. This is interesting. I thought they would be able to pin it the rest of the day. So yeah, nothing too exciting here. Still very flat. I mean, if you see the 1 minute trigger starting to rise above like by 5-10 cents, that's when you know price wants to attack 25.88. But for now, probably gonna just be still the rest of the day if I had to give one guess and walk away. All right, guys. Any last questions? Otherwise, I'm about to log off. All right. Have a great weekend, everybody. Always feel free to shoot me a DM if you have any questions or want to learn more. I'll see you guys next week.